Good morning. Happy Tuesday, May 7th. Thanks for joining me today for status hearing, where we're finding an alternative to nothing. Getting out of bed or not getting out of bed, but trying to start our day mindfully, setting an intention, and trying to start the day with a little bit of activity and body work so that we ground ourselves in the body before we head out to the wide world. Let's start on our backs and just start with mindful breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. Again, remember, this is an antidote to the stress response. So we practice it because the more we do it, the easier it will be to remember when we're under stress, under pressure. The easier it will be to remember a way to manage that pressure. So inhale into the belly and feel the belly rise. Deliberately inhale into the belly. That may mean you need to arch your back a little bit. And then exhale, just let the belly fall. See if you can feel the lower back on the floor. If you have trouble with this, turn your attention to your lower back. And as you inhale, see if you can feel the lower back pressing into the floor. Because you're not pressing the spine. The lower back is pressing into the floor because you're inflating this balloon. So even the back expands on the inhalation. As we exhale, we can make this a little more active. We could relax and the stomach falls by itself, and that's awesome. Most of us have lost touch with that feeling of the lower pelvis, maybe even the lower back. And so I would encourage you, if you have, to see what it feels like when you pull your navel toward your spine. And notice how that helps you push the air out. So I feel my belly expand, hold the navel toward the spine. And as I do that, I'm feeling my spine now begin to press into the floor. As we continue this, start thinking about your ribs and your chest. When you expand in the belly and the lower back, we're also expanding through the front and back ribs. We're even expanding through the chest and through the shoulder blades, but behind the shoulder blades. So it's almost like you feel this pillow pushing your shoulder blades backward and pushing your chest forward. And then as we exhale, we can pull the chest toward the back, pull the ribs together, pull the navel to the spine. Inhale, fill the belly, expand the ribs, expand the upper back. Exhale, now bring it together and down. Ribs come together and down. Belly comes together and down. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly. I'm going to add one more step. Inhale, belly, ribs, chest. The last step is the pelvic floor. Exhale, chest, ribs, belly, pelvic floor. Now, what does she mean by that? We're pushing all the air out. And at the very end, we're going to imagine we're actually lifting a marble off of the floor with the pelvic floor. Now, the pelvic floor is a sheet of muscle and it's like a trampoline. So as I lift the marble, maybe I'm going to lift a ping pong, because the sheet of muscle it's vertical. And so as I lift, this is exactly what's happening with my pelvic floor. If I let it go and I don't think about it, it begins to bow and my organs sit on it. And that's why people become incontinent as they become older. Not always, but is one reason for incontinence. So we strengthen it by lifting it. It's a muscle. So while it can be sensitive or a sensitive area to talk about, I really want to encourage people to think about it anatomically rather than graphically or sexually, because it's something very necessary for your body. It's something necessary for your movement, for your mobility, I think even for your intelligence. So again, think of it anatomically, think of it out of muscle, just like any other muscle. As you exhale, the very end, you're lifting through that pelvic floor, arching it up into the body. Now, when we inhale, you'll feel it begin to push out, and the belly pushes, and the ribs. And as we exhale, chest comes together, ribs, belly, lift the trampoline, or I got to think of a phrase for that. Inhale, relax, fill, open, spread. Exhale, contract, pull together, shorten, lift the pelvic floor. One more here. From here, let's cross the left leg over the right, and let's bring both knees into the chest and just rest the hands on the knees. I'm going to talk about front internal lines of energy, files. Now, files too can be threatening because one of the major joint points of the file is the space between the pubic bones. And again, I want to encourage people to think about this anatomically, not to shy away from this as a sexual issue. The sexuality of this area is completely separate from what we're doing. We are looking at this musculoskeletally right now. There are muscles there, and they're very important. And it's very important that we learn how to use them. So as we think about exhaling, I talked about bringing things together and then pulling the pelvic floor upward into the body. The front internal line of energy runs down either side of the midline of the body, goes all the way down the legs, all the way down tops of the feet at the ends of the toes. As we exhale, we send energy from the crown down the front external lines. So let's just practice. Maybe uncross your legs for a moment and just practice. Inhale, exhale, send energy from the crown of your head down either side of the midline of your body, all the way out through your middle toes. As you inhale, we're going to circle around to the bottoms of the feet, run it up the back, along either side of the spine, up to the crown of the head. So it's like a circle. Exhale, sending energy down the two midlines. Inhale, drawing energy up the rear internal lines of energy, the riles. So the files circle around, the riles bring us back up. The files bring us down. We're sending energy down, supporting the body with this downward effort, grounding the front of the body so that we can lift the spine. Take a few more breaths. Exhale, ground. Inhale, lift the back of the body, the spine, the rile. Exhale, file down. Inhale, rile up. Exhale, file down. Inhale, rile up. So now let's cross the right leg over the left. Now your legs are crossed, so this is going to make this a little trickier. Exhale, file down. So you've got a cross leg position here. What this is going to do is really emphasize the base of the pelvis, the pubic bones, that part where people might be a little uncomfortable. I want to emphasize that for a number of reasons. Because it might be uncomfortable, and because it might be uncomfortable, people tend to just cut it off. There are a lot of important muscles there. A lot of women find that the hips widen, the inner thighs widen. A lot of that is because we have just turned this off. So if you think about it anatomically, it might make it a little less threatening. Exhale all the way down, and don't even go into the legs. Inhale, rile up the spine to the crown of the head. Exhale, file down. So files down at the very end where you have no more breath. Lift through that pelvic floor and then inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up the internal lines of energy. File down the internal lines of energy. Rile up the rear internal lines of energy. File down. Now it's a little harder, and we'll uncross and switch legs. It's a little harder to do this in a horizontal position. I'm going to switch to a vertical position in a little bit. But we're just going to switch legs and do the same thing, filing down the front internal lines of energy to the pubic bones, all the way to the end of the breath. We lift the pelvis, lift the pelvic floor. And you can almost think about that like a suction cup. We're kind of releasing the bulb, and air comes back in, which is literally what's happening in the body when we create the vacuum by exhaling all the way out. When we exhale all the way out, the pelvic floor lifts and it creates a vacuum, and now the body breathes in itself. So inhale, rile up. Exhale, file down. Pelvic floor lifts, and that draws the air back up the spine. Now from here, I'm going to encourage you to make a little bit of effort here. On the exhalation, we're going to gently press the knees toward the chest, because the exhalation is always our effort phase. As we inhale, I'm lengthening from the base of my spine up to the crown of my head. And as I exhale, I'm lengthening down. So really pushing the chest toward the back, pushing the belly toward the spine. And that's what this file does. And that's why I think it's harder to feel. It's harder to understand in a horizontal position. We'll do 2 more of these. Inhale, expand. Exhale, file down. Inhale and exhale. So it's almost like my front internal, almost like the midline of my body is pressing between my legs, and I'm holding my legs. The midline of my body is pressing away, and I'm holding my legs. I'm not letting my legs fall apart. Let's flip sides and do a couple of those on the other side. Again, inhale up the rile. As you exhale, send energy down the file. Send it between your legs and out. And as you send it out, draw your legs a little closer to your chest. Inhale up. exhale, down, little pull here. Inhale up, exhale, down. Send that frontal energy between the legs and out to the opposite wall. And on your next exhalation, we'll gently release. From here, you can roll to one side, or you can begin to rock your body, massaging your lower back a little bit before you come to a sitting position. So we're sitting upright, and you have some options here. Sit up against a wall, sit up against a pillow. You can cross the legs and place bolsters underneath each knee. You can prop yourself up onto a blanket. All of these things will make this a little easier. Our goal here is to, again, follow the internal lines of energy, the files and the riles. So internally, we'll start, I think maybe it'll be easier to start at the base of the pelvis. And let's just work through the core again today. Inhale up the riles, rile up. Exhale, file down. Inhale, rile up. Exhale, file down. So the most prominent feeling I have right now is that feeling of grounding the two pubic bones toward the floor. And that strange feeling for me of grounding the pubic bones to the floor and then lifting up with the pelvis, or with the pelvic floor, and then inhaling. So exhaling down, grounding pubic bones, lifting up with the pelvic floor, and then moving it up the spine. And I'll admit, I mentioned that aspect of being uncomfortable or this being difficult because I'm experiencing it myself. I have shut this area off, and it's done a lot of harm. Be kind here. Truly, that this is an act of kindness, that you're not going to cut it off, or that at least it's uncomfortable. I've talked before about sometimes pain is like a little kid, mom, 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 and your response is to be frustrated, and that's not what a child needs. Take a deep breath, calm down. I can help you in one moment. Can you please sit? Or what do you need? So if this is like that, this is your 5-year-old child, mom, mom, and you're the mom, but the little kid is you. So it's nagging at you. Be kind. Lifting through the pelvic floor and then extending up the spine. Filing down, pubic bones, lifting through the pelvic floor. Riling up. I'm sorry, I think I said filing up. Riling up, filing down. On your next exhalation, we're going to switch sides with the legs, and we're going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to, again, we'll establish those lines. Now, see if you can establish the 4 points of your pelvic floor, which are the 2 pubic bones in front and the 2 sits bones in back. So think about it like a sail. You've got 2 bones in front, 2 bones in back, and the sail kind of pushes, it kind of arches when you inhale. When you exhale, it lifts from the front to the back. At the very, very end, it lifts from the front to the back. So at the very, very end, when it lifts, the four corners, you can think about them pushing down into the ground, even the tailbone. And then, not the tailbone, the sits bones. Those are the bases of your pelvis. So all four of those bones are pressing into the ground. You're lifting that muscle of the pelvic floor, and that initiates the upward spiral of energy up the spine. So we're going to try this. As you exhale, file down, keep pressing energy down toward your pubic bone. Once you get there, ground the 4 points of your pelvic floor, lift through your pelvic floor, and lengthen your spine. I'm going to turn to the side. Exhale, file down. Keep sending energy down, down, down to your pubic bones. Establish the 4 points of your pelvic floor. Breathe all the way out, lifting through your pelvic floor, initiating energy up the spine. The spine can lengthen. So the more effort I can put into the file, the more effort I can give to the rile. I have to ground down in order to lengthen my spine. That is the only way I can do it. Gravity is at work. Sometimes we think about, well, how am I supposed to lengthen? I mean, gravity is pulling me down. It is pulling you down. So we're going to use it. We're going to use the downward effort as a way of helping us use the upward effort. Your muscles know how to do this. You may not have done it for a while, and it may be very, very uncomfortable and very, very strange to feel this. Now I'm going to introduce one more thing that might help this, make this a little more obvious in your brain to body connection. As you exhale down, when you establish the 4 corners of your floor, push your feet slightly away from each other. That may help you to feel the lift in the pelvic floor at the very end of the exhalation. We lift, that initiates the inhalation. And we lengthen. So here we go again, exhaling, filing down the midline of the body, down to the pubic bones. Establish the 4 points at the very end of the exhalation. Lift. Let that initiate the rile, the lengthening of the spine. On your next inhalation, give it one good lift effort. Exhale down, exhale down. One more good. Nail those 4 points. Here we go. Lift with the pelvic floor. Initiate the breath. One last good, nice, tall. Pull it up with the crown of the head. And relax. We'll take it down to the floor for final Shavasana. So not quite so much movement today, but hopefully some understanding. And what I will say is that while this may not feel like a lot of activity, you will find, I suspect, when you're walking today to your car, when you're sitting, you can do this anytime. When you do something like walking, though, if you remember to engage it, it's going to change your walk. It's going to make your whole body lighter. It's going to make it easier to get out of a chair. It's going to make you dread less having to get up and walk to the copy machine. So wherever you are, let's relax into Shavasana. And now we're just kind of reassembling everybody, bringing the whole family back together. I like to say everyone is needed, meaning all of your muscles, your entire body, every nerve, every muscle, every organ, it's necessary. It's necessary. It wouldn't be there if it weren't. So revel in that. Gather the family together. Your fingers, the ends of your fingers, they're necessary. The wrists. What about the back corner of your skull, the left back corner and the right back corner of your skull? Just see if you can connect mentally with these areas. What about the back bottom corners of your skull? The left and right back bottom corners of your skull. Could you feel 4 points of your throat, 2 in front and 2 in back? There are nerves there. Everybody's needed. Thanks, nerves. It sounds dorky, but truly, it's exciting. And all of these things would love to participate in your life. You just shut them down as if they're not important. But if in fact this is your family, if this is your internal family, you want to cut it off? You want to shut it off? If you think about your external family and someone you love deeply has to stand outside the door on Thanksgiving Day, to me, oh, that hurts my heart. No, nobody can stand outside the door, much less family, but no friends can either. So the internal body parts, those are your family members. Gather them together. They want to work together. They're designed to work together. And what a gift and what an intelligence behind that, a wisdom behind that. Can you breathe into that inherent wisdom of your body that's demonstrated by the fact that all these different parts can coordinate? They can work together. They can make each other as a whole much, much better and much, much stronger than any one of them could be alone. Or any two of them could be if they tried to exclude a third. If you were having trouble making a mental connection with the pelvic floor or with the pubic bones today, you saw that. It was hard to incorporate whatever it was, the body part standing outside the door. I personally, when I first started experiencing this, I didn't even know how. I didn't even know what is this feeling? I didn't even know it existed. I had cut it out so completely. So while it's flowery and it's earth, nature, and Mother Earth and all this to sound, wisdom of your body, that is very objective wisdom in your body. It works together to make the whole better. But we can cut it out. And when we say be kind, this is it right here. Be kind. Incorporate, include, don't exclude. The whole is better, stronger, more resilient than the sum of the parts. We've reached the end of our time today. If the stillness is something that appeals to you and something that you would like to explore more of, I will be hosting some classes. You can gently roll to one side, give yourself a second on your side before you bring yourself to a sitting position. I'm going to call those classes Status Sit, and I will put some on the schedule on my YouTube page. Thanks very much for joining me. If you know of anyone who can benefit from this, I hope that you will let them know. I feel sometimes like this is my public health effort. What if everybody gave a little bit of time to coming inside in whatever way they could? What could we all be? Have a wonderful day. Namaste.